that's right. TNA Sacrifice is over, and I am here with the one, the only Spaz Phoenix. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's a lazy Friday, buddy. It's a lazy Friday, and it's good. I've just watched, I think, 7 straight hours of wrestling.
Yeah, I did not see SmackDown, admittedly. I heard, some of the feedback. You and Liz kind of filled me in. We saw some of the vignettes and debuts. But what's going on, guys? It's Jake, a.k.a. Countdown Ended DeMarco, here once again to go ahead and review wrestling during this wrestling renaissance. And you're joining us on Into Somewhere TNA edition, or part of the NXT TNA, I should say, umbrella. This was excellent on a Friday level, if that makes sense. I think you'll understand that.
It's a TNA B show.
Yes, when they do their Friday shows, it's above a house show, but it's not quite like a normal pay-per-view. And we got quite a few like stellar moments and pretty standout matches. So that Tessa match was damn good against Saya. So believe it or not, that was
to the chagrin of many.
I know, but you see that people count the pinfall of her winning 1, 2, 3. She's getting a reaction that's negative, but then they're cheering for her inadvertently. Like they're reacting to her. So this is good. I know she may not like it, but she weathers the storm a little bit longer. I think this is going to go very well in her favor.
The hate is performative. Like, I don't want to go. I've had a couple Smirnoffs already. I don't want to go super metaphorical tonight. That's not what we're doing here. But the hate, nice. the adult drink boxes for the win
in 4K.
But the hate for her is so performative. It's like the hate for Logan Paul is performative. It's like the one-sided hate for CM Punk is performative. It's like, oh, we're not supposed to like this celebrity this week because they said the bad thing. It's performative. You're going to go to the next movie. You're just not going to tell anybody. You're not going to tell anybody who you voted for because the guy you voted for might not be popular. We're about to go through a round of elections up here. That shit's going to be a shitstorm as well. It's not just you guys. We have political bullshit as well.
Yeah,
we have a guy running. We have a guy running the country right now whose name is literally Carney.
It's hey, look, we're gonna do claps. Like, it's built into it, and we're gonna go ahead and see how that sounds.
I'd love to say it's a step up from Justin, but it's not.
Right?
Anyway,
hey, anything could be an.
But hey, I ran into Doug Ford at the freaking pay-per-view a couple weeks ago, so life is very weird.
I laughed with that. I was like, does he have any crack? It's built.
What's
into
up to
it,
Liz and Judgment Day era in the chat? Trying to pay more attention to the chat, even though I'm not quite awake.
I think it sounds okay. I like I said to you, I got the new microphone because I had a test stream the other day and I was going insane. All of my recent uploads have had live or uploaded, like recorded, that high-pitched noise in them, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I'm sitting here and I'm on a live stream just with my wife on the phone over here with headphones, and she's like, no matter what I did, she was like, I don't hear the noise anymore. I'm like, well, the only thing, I'm taking everything apart, every wire. I've disconnected, new batteries. Like, I've gone through everything. I'm like, well, it's got to be the mic then. The mic's broken. What am I going to do? Oh, well, so I'm getting a new mic. I finally used that Amazon gift card. All right, let's get that baby going. And what happens? I after ordering the mic, I'm like, and she's like, what? And I'm like, the only thing I didn't do was turn the lights on because I wasn't doing a normal live stream, so it was just in the dark. And as soon as I turned the light on, the humming noise came back. So what it was is that the amp for the plug on the mixer was drawing not enough power when the light was plugged in, and the two caused a frequency being on the same USB plug. So they were both in the same hub, and one was
and
not
you would never
enough
figured
power.
It out if you hadn't figured it out by accident.
Exactly. So that is solved. Hopefully it does not come back. Hopefully I sound better. Everybody in the chat, let me know, please. How does it sound for both of us? Because we're kind of flying blind here. I came into this one match late, so it was nice enough to get the free month again of TNA Plus and watch their pay-per-view tonight. I had an issue, though. It wouldn't. My account wouldn't like sync with my phone. It was something like, oh, it's already watching. I couldn't figure it out. Eventually it was because, hey, I have a new phone, but I didn't update the app.
Oh, okay.
That would be why. So, because when I transferred all the apps over from the other phone, I didn't update this one because I was like, I'm not whatever. So finally figured it out, but it was right as the Mance Warner victory happened. So that was the first match tonight on the actual pay-per-view, and that's the one I saw the least of. So,
well, here's the thing, right? And there's a lot of these matches tonight where I'm going to say I liked it, but it was a lot of fun, but it was really good, and here's the but here. I wasn't tuned into this match to see Sami Callihan versus Mance Warner. I was tuned into this match because it was a Sami Callihan match, because I've fallen down on sort of like my weekly watching. I try to sort of catch up as we're going to be going towards a pay-per-view. Didn't get to do it this time. Mance Warner is still like the guy that Stephanie brought in to me, because I wasn't familiar with him before TNA, and I haven't seen much of him since. I like Sami Callihan. I'll watch Sami Callihan do whatever. I like the fact that this brawl sort of started in the kickoff. I didn't see the kickoff. Here's how the day went for me, right?
Yeah.
Netflix, we get to watch the international WWE shows live whenever they are. So
as it happened
at about 3 in the afternoon.
I could have gotten the VPN going and done it that way, but I was like, I'll watch it eventually. I was so busy at this point. I was like, all right, forget it. I'll catch it tomorrow. If there's anything major, someone will let me know.
Oh yeah. Well,
and I was informed.
We saw the teases for those couple of guys from AEW that suddenly aren't good anymore.
They suddenly appear. That was quick for Ray Phoenix being teased already. I like that he's going to SmackDown, and that looks like Aleister Black. I'm assuming. I mean, that's not a foregone conclusion. Check that off your bucket list, buddy. That's off my bingo board. But no, I really love vignettes and teases, and that's why when Bray came back that first time with the White Rabbit storyline.
But you know what the thing is,
I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Obviously, I was watching the Wrestling for Life guys, and they were talking about it as well. And somebody brought up the good point of, they didn't immediately throw them together as a team because they've already had a chance to introduce Penta. Now they're going to have a chance to introduce Phoenix and then bring them together later on. That, like, you got a couple different cool stories to tell. But they're not going the Penta route of like, oh, here's a little hint, here's a little guesswork, here's a little whatever. No, they showed him walking along the ropes, and you saw that it was, if you don't know who Phoenix is, then I guess it's kind of a surprise, but I mean, there
was another one of those, like, CM Punk AEW debut, like, okay, we know what's going on,
everybody
here,
knows
we're just not advertising it.
Even for those of us that know, like the Aleister Black thing, we'll just put up some smoke in the number 4, and oh my God, what does it mean? We can pretty much be sure that it's Aleister Black, but we can speculate.
It could have nothing to do with him. For
the Ray Phoenix thing, it just showed you a full image of Ray Phoenix.
So here was my thought. What if it has nothing to do with Aleister Black, and what if it's the return of the Wyatt 6?
Except they're the Wyatt 4?
No, something about the 4 is the date.
I was just being a smartass there.
No, I get that. I totally, but trying to debunk as I'm saying live, the 4th is also a Friday for SmackDown, April 4th. So I'm thinking 4/4 is
I was gonna say
Friday night SmackDown live.
Maybe I shouldn't do this, but I was kind of assuming it's going to be SmackDown. Like, I don't think you would be running vignettes on SmackDown for somebody that's
I assume that it's going to be the Friday night, before the final go home show of Mania. So the go home to the go home. You get what I'm saying? Sorry.
I was going to say,
I'm very sleep deprived and very high.
The month is April.
That's how you got me. It's Friday, bud. Sorry.
You
got to pick up the pieces.
Apparently, I didn't do the math on this. This is just what people are saying. Apparently, it's been 4 years since Aleister was let go from WWE previously.
Yes.
So there's a lot you can play with.
There's so much, but it seems like no matter what, 4/4, April 4th, it's a Friday. It lines up. I don't think it could be a bunch of things, but like I said, I think it's going to be the Wyatt 6 returning. I think we're going to see something with the date, because we did hear that they're going to be doing something building into Alexa and Bo. We even heard at one point in time that he was released, and then the people were like, no, he was sick. Well, come to find out, he had an injury, and he was out rehabbing it, and now he's cleared again to wrestle.
Nice.
So that's why they held off on everything, because they didn't want to do it without him, and he needed to rehab whatever the injury was. So,
you know what I would like to see, and they did it really, I think, kind of poorly in TNA a little while ago, is Could you do a reunion of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross to go for the women's tag titles, but still have her say, love you guys, love that you guys are paying tribute to Bray and all that. I'm still going to do my own thing. Part of my own thing is teaming with Nikki, but I'm not in the Wyatts. Like Alicia Edwards and Tasha Steelz were the Knockouts tag team titles, but Tasha Steelz wasn't in the system per se, which is good. Nobody wants to be in the system, especially tonight. No. But no, getting back to what I was saying, like I watched because SmackDown started 3 here. I get off work at like 3:30. I had to do some other stuff, came home, whatever. Pulled up the Wrestling for Life guys because they're great and the watch-alongs are great.
Absolutely. I was waiting to see them for SmackDown, and I unfortunately wasn't around, so I want to check out some of the replays and highlights tomorrow. But it's been fun watching along with them as well at times.
Oh, yeah. Thing for me is when I started playing it, all the commercial breaks had already been cut out.
Oh, perfect.
So trying to time that out with watching those guys on the watch along was patchwork.
Yes.
But what it meant was I pretty much my watching of SmackDown because, come home from work, have a shit, have a shower, get some dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
My watching of SmackDown took me to about 7:45. So I basically switched from SmackDown to Sacrifice with about a 10-minute break in between. But in that 10-minute break, getting back to the first match we're talking about, they were
with Mance Warner and Sami. So.
It was like they were setting up to throw to like the next video package because that's what the pre-shows are for.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, there's a disturbance in the back, and these guys are beating the shit out of each other already, and they brawl out to the ring. Yeah. And they started the match.
The pre-show, by the way, was First Class defeating Laredo Kid and Octagon Jr. So
yeah, the Aztec Warriors apparently is their tag team name.
Yeah,
we saw them later on in the night as well during a segment that got a mixed response to say the least.
I wasn't crazy about that, so we'll get into it.
But... We will. AJ is one of those guys that gets a free pass from me. You can do whatever the fuck you wants.
That was a bit rough though today.
I sent you the fan rap of the guy that's doing the rap to him, all about like WWE history and like hard-hitting, heartfelt moments, and then and then you flopped over the top.
And then you flopped.
How am I supposed to defend that?
That was great. That was funny.
I think it's an interesting idea. I don't know, and maybe I won't know until I rewatch it at some point. I don't know why my glasses don't want to stay put. So if you're watching me on the screen, don't watch me on the screen.
Oh, don't feel bad.
But I don't know how I feel about let's start the first match of the card on the kickoff and then sort of jump. Because even if you have the app, you're still shutting off the kickoff and turning on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you still have to go ahead and switch over.
I get you're trying to like get carryover views. Like the old school way of doing things would be like watch the WWE free-for-all. This is the final hook to get you to buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Sunday Night Heat.
It doesn't work like that anymore.
I used to love that. The Sunday Night Heats before a pay-per-view were so awesome because they always had some like crazy Kane came out and chokeslammed everybody.
Yeah. And then there's like some last-minute addition to some match.
Yeah, or the Acolytes.
I remember
made somebody shit their pants in a locals tag match.
Before I could actually order my own pay-per-views, I had this sweet deal where really, really nice lady that used to babysit my younger brothers had a cable box. I would drop her off a VHS, for those of us that remember what a VHS is, and I would pick it up Monday morning, and I would have to bring it home, pop it in, speed watch the pay-per-view before Monday Night Raw. But it's not like that anymore. But in the meantime,
I've talked about it on Voldemort's and my channel, and the fact that I used to go ahead. My neighbor Veda, I used to babysit her, and her stepfather Jamal would go ahead, and he had the black cable box, and we'd go ahead and get all the pay-per-views for free. So he let me go ahead and watch wrestling with him when the Sundays happened. We were watching, the Over the Edge pay-per-view live when it happened, like all of those.
Oh no!
I remember being just shell shocked in that moment.
Did you ever do what I called WWF radio, where you would flip through the channels and the picture was scrambled, but the sound
that's how I
clear?
watched WrestleMania 15.
Nice.
I listened to it because I couldn't afford it, and my neighbor wasn't around, and my mom had my the money that was supposed to be for the pay-per-view was gone suddenly. So yeah. And in those days, you had to like call to order the pay-per-view.
Yep.
But you also at that point with our cable company, it was different. Like you had to have your card on file to like charge at that point.
Yep.
And then it would go through. So
my parents got so sick of ordering the pay-per-views for me that eventually they put my name as the second name on the actual cable account so that I could just do it for myself.
That's a way to go with it.
It is, and then now it's all on demand, and oh my god, can you imagine telling us, this is such a fucking old man thing to say, can you imagine telling us when we were kids how easy it is now, and how various it is now, and how like at your fingertips it is now?
I'll never forget when my uncle showed me how to download music. He came over the house. He had his work laptop, his friggin' police FBI work laptop with Napster on it. That cracked me up still to this day because it wasn't like a known issue at that time. Like everybody thought it was just like music sharing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't, copyright wasn't as defined,
and it's so bizarre now.
Isn't that really how like the digital millennial copy that year 2000 whatever? That's how the DMCA thing all came about. But and I remember,
and now it's just out there.
I remember I was downloading a music video from Korn. What was it? Got the Life, and it ended up being porn, and that changed my life, Spaz. From there on, I was a man. Thank you, Napster, for all the viruses you gave me.
That's awkward.
And all the viruses I spread.
It's getting worse.
Back to the virus himself, Mance Warner. What are we going to do with him? I mean, he won here tonight, but did it matter? Was it anything worthwhile? I feel like he's kind of been a dud since the reveal. The reveal went over like a wet fart in church, and now it's just like, all right, so
I don't know. I didn't know what I thought of him, and I still don't. Like, he's got a hot girlfriend. That's it. Yeah. But I got to see Sami Callihan do some Sami Callihan stuff.
Okay.
And I had a thought for you because we talk a lot about AEW. We take the piss out of AEW a lot because it's easy, especially after this Wednesday. Holy Christ.
Yes. Oh my God, we got a lot coming up.
But the like with the hardcore matches, right? And TNA's like they're not as serious, and WWE's they aren't as serious, and NXT's they aren't as serious, whatever, right? I think NXT, TNA, WWE, in every one of those matches, there's a point in the match that acknowledges how ridiculous the whole situation is. In this case, it was like the dueling staple gun thing, and so as a fan, you're watching it and you can be entertained by it and you don't have to worry about somebody dying. And the wrestlers are kind of saying to the audience, look how fucking ridiculous this is. Whereas everybody, whether it's a wrestler I like or a wrestler that I don't like, everybody in AEW is staring straight down the lens at you. You fucking pussy. Take me seriously. I'm the hardest guy in the room. Da 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 da. This is real. Fucking A.
Killing yourself in the process. But no, you're right. They all had to be like brash and fuck authority and in your face and I'm so tough, tattooed, metal
syringes.
Yeah.
I will say Mance Warner getting his tongue stapled to the turnbuckle was something I've never seen before.
I missed that. So that's a spot that I need to go back for.
It was some pretty ridiculous stuff. They did a standoff where it was like, gunslinger one at each other's heads with the two staple guns, and eventually Sami Callihan drops down and gives him the staple in the nuts, which is clearly not a staple in the nuts, but it's funny.
But the shot is great. Oh, yeah, I just saw it here. Oh, I guess Charlotte went ahead and did the butt slam to the face that, Stephanie does.
Miss Vaticour. The skull fucking finale?
Yes.
She's done it before. People just forget. People are freaking out on X.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say, she's done this. Charlotte's done that many times before, hasn't she? Like.
Oh, yeah, no, the thing ever since SmackDown went live back at like 3 o'clock this afternoon, like, they've been pulling out all the buzzwords. Oh, you look at Charlotte, leave it up to her to do some cultural appropriation. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, because she's done it before.
I don't know. Man's getting the choke slam on the trash can. It barely looked great for like what it should have been for a finish. I don't know. I wasn't thrilled.
It was a lot of fun. I would much rather see and I think he's kind of made it into his match, but basically in TNA, they've got the Ravens Clockwork Orange House of Fun match where there's just weapons everywhere and there's like one side of a cage for no reason. And like, I go back to the point of like, it's ridiculous. They acknowledge that it's ridiculous. They bring the fans in and in such a way of like, come have some fun with us. It's going to be fucking ridiculous. Like it
is going to be ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as you unlocked a memory in my head. Hold on really quick. It was sorry, Napster, Morpheus, Kazaa,
oh my God,
LimeWire.
Holy Christ.
You know, sorry, I had just a bridging thought there. Continue, sir. But no, you're absolutely right. And it's just like that's what's lacking.
It was fun. It was one of those things, and you say like, oh, where do we go from here? What did we achieve and all that, which is a fair question. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where like it was a bit of stupid fun. I don't care that it's not going anywhere.
You knew
like
that
like I say, the
well.
other half of it for me, because I'm not familiar with Mance, it's not, oh my God, I can't wait to see Sami Callihan versus Mance. It was more cool. I get to see Sami Callihan do some Sami Callihan stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what was exciting.
So for that, it was kind of disposable, but in a way that's not bad.
Yeah, because like you said, the staple shots seem to be entertaining people like that. And as far as the rest goes, whatever, you know, it was what it was. It wasn't bad by any means. It just wasn't. I feel like we saw Nick Namath's brother a lot, though. They had a lot of Ryan on this show, no? Or at least it felt that way.
When we get to the ending, we'll understand why.
Exactly.
Nick Nemeth being the male Vicky Guerrero in TNA. My brother. Fuck, I shouldn't be doing voices tonight. Sorry, guys.
You're gonna lose your voice. That's what it is. You're losing your voice. I'm losing my mind. But the singles match between Tessa and Li Ying Li. I always want to call her Xia Li still, right? Like it's just...
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. Here's the thing. There's all the politics that goes into the Tessa Blanchard thing. The poor woman that sang her out to the ring got treated like the woman that sang the American national anthem in Toronto a couple weeks ago.
She got nuked tonight.
Like,
my God, it was bad.
And again, I don't want to redo the whole anthem thing because that's becoming a thing now, apparently. But like, the poor woman that came to Toronto to sing both anthems, by the way, who actually had some of the most horrible shit yelled at her. And, you know, this is where, you know, we don't get to just sit up on our high horses and say that we're the good guys, we're the nice guys, because a bunch of the people, especially in my area, were being complete dicks to her. But it's the same thing here. Like, I get it. You want to boo Tessa Blanchard. Again, it's that performative, society has decided she's bad. I better boo her so that I can be one evil. Of the ones. Well, yeah, but like, I want society to think I'm good. So if I boo the person society has decided is bad, that makes me good. And it's like, in the meantime, you're just shitting on an artist that's got a pretty cool opportunity.
Didn't she make good with a lot of the women though? Like, isn't that why she was allowed back? Well, I'm saying like if the people that you're working with don't care, then I feel like the public shouldn't care, really. You know what I mean? Like, not saying you can't have an opinion, but
Jake, it's an easy like
it's a way to virtue signal. Absolutely, you nailed it.
We drill down on this a lot, and I feel like I get repetitive, and I feel like I don't want to talk about it anymore. But when it's in your face, you have to sort of talk about it. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it wasn't even true. Like, the story is out there. The fiction that Tessa Blanchard is a person that you boo if you're a good person is out there. A lie makes it around the world twice before the truth has its shoes on.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that expression. Stole that one from Adam Wilborn from What Culture, who doesn't know that I fucking exist, but I steal a lot of his shit.
No, but you're onto something, right?
But like, if you can get past that, first of all, Tessa Blanchard's awesome. Second of all, her like stiff upper lip in the face of all this. You hate me while I'm here anyway. Fucking.
But that's what I'm saying. She's maximized her minutes and she's gone ahead and just really excelled with everything. That was one of the greatest cutters I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
That was insane.
They're all ridiculous. And the thing is, and because the Tessa Blanchard thing takes up so much of the conversation, you sort of lose in the shuffle that it was a really awesome showcase in a match that you knew she was going to lose. But it was a really awesome showcase for Lei Ying Li. I'm going to get it right, I swear.
Yeah. Well, Lee went ahead and looked like even more of the tortured babyface here that just got overwhelmed. And Tessa played an amazing heel. She really did. She soaked in the hate and put it right back on him, to the point that when she got the Magnum, people were like clapping because it was like in awe of what she just performed. That move is badass. I've always liked her. I like the finish. Whether or not she was being paid to send out videos of audio of her pooping, not for me to judge. I mean, they played the audio on Cornette's podcast. We should have covered it. Sorry.
Again, here's the thing, and I know you're kidding, and I know it makes a great punchline and all that, but I do have to say,
we're not kidding about the audio. That is out there, but
that's fine. But my point of it is, it makes a great punchline. It makes a great thing for us to joke about, and I'm all for that. I'm not the adult in the room, I promise. But like, even if it's true, who the fuck cares?
That's what I'm saying. And the racist things were never like outright confirmed. There was some stories, and then they were like, when it was pressed, people kind of changed their story afterwards. Yep. So there was never like this direct, like, oh, you absolutely did this. And anything that they said of like bullying or pushing her weight around, as it was called, she had apologized, and that's why she made the make good with Jordan Grace, and that's why they had her last match together. Her last match together. That's why they did the whole thing, and that was her send off. There was a point to it because they worked it out. They said. Mm-hmm. All the bad blood. I think it's
kind of cool when you get something like that, and I'm not going to say that another company couldn't have done this as well.
I don't think they would have brought her in though if there was that much hate behind the scenes.
Oh, of course.
That's what I'm saying. TNA is not in the place right now where they're in a very good, like, healthy spot.
Yeah.
I listen to Lance Storm often, and he's always down, obviously, at TNA for the recordings and for the live events, and he does a lot behind the scenes and producing matches and segments. So I like listening to him on Wrestling Observer because you don't hear a lot of TNA news and stuff like that. But I've always loved his wrestling. He got called boring because he was so fucking good at it. It was like a robot. Like, that was the problem. He was so precise and so accurate.
I'll make a big statement here, and I don't know if I 100% believe it, but it's just an idea that's crossed my mind, right? Lance Storm is boring in the same way that currently we say Natalia's boring.
Yes, absolutely. No, I totally get that.
Like, there's no reason to invest in her. WWE has never really given you a reason to invest in her.
No.
But she's solid.
Anytime she's ever gone out there for anything, she's lost, and she's never amounted really to that, like, main event caliber.
She's an amazing asset when they send her down to NXT to work with whoever.
She's great.
Yeah, and
she has a good mind for the business, and she's great at training people.
And you know what it is?
Helping with promos and character development.
Not that this is something you should reach for either, but like, if you're a bit boring and you're trying to put somebody else over, it sort of forces people's attention to the other person in the ring, which does just that. It just puts them over, puts your focus on them, because it's like, oh, that's Natalya. She's here to do some Natalya stuff. But yeah, the Tessa thing is what it is. Lei Ying Lee is awesome. It looks like she's gotten jacked up since she's been in TNA, so good for her for that. She's still got a little bit of that heritage Mortal Kombat type vibe.
The fans and
it's a little toned down from what WWE doesn't do.
Way toned down. Yeah,
WWE is about as subtle as a sledgehammer. Even now, even in the good days.
Yes,
there's
still problems in WWE, and that's what we try to address. But. No, problem I didn't have was Blanchard. This match, she went ahead. Every time she got a little bit of a lead in, she would like soak the crowd's booze in. Like, she would let it build, you know what I mean? She would come, like, they're fighting on the outside, and she comes over, and then the crowd's booing, and she soaks it in, and then she gets chopped, and then everybody's cheering. Like, she knew what to do when to keep the crowd. Like, she just showed her. But you'll notice something
as well, like the performative stuff, and it's going to be the conversation about Tessa for a little while at least.
Yeah,
the performative stuff. It used to be just Tessa's racist chants. Or when they sort of co-opted the Booker T thing, they're like, "We're coming for you, Tessa. We're coming for you." But now,
Tessa, we're coming for you.
You saw a little bit of back and forth. You saw a little bit of Tessa's racist. No, she's not.
Yes.
Tessa's racist. And it's like, so there's at least a couple people in there. The last pay-per-view, I can't remember what the last pay-per-view was even called because my memory is shit tonight. But the dude in the front.
Bound for Glory. No, it was.
No, there's been something since then.
Yeah.
I can't think of the names of the TNA shows most of the time, unfortunately. But there was a guy in the front row when she had her first match back. I think it might have been the match with Grace or maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But the guy had like a mock-up of like a Paul Heyman shirt, and it was I'm a Tessa Blanchard guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking great.
See.
Oh, speaking of which, this is more for people in Canada in my neck of the woods.
Genesis, and then Genesis was January 19th.
Yeah.
So that was the last one. Then they had Sacrifice, then Unbreakable, then Rebellion, then Slammiversary as planned. So before that was Final Resolution in December, and then November was Turning Point. October was Bound for Glory.
Okay, maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Maybe it was a TV taping.
Final Resolution was the one. No, it was Genesis where he won the title right before the Rumble.
Oh, okay.
From Joe Hendry won it from Nick Namath. That's right.
Okay.
That was Genesis. I know the names are still confusing at points.
Well, the only name that's in my head right now is Under Siege, because I have tickets to the TNA tapings that are actually happening in Brampton, weirdly enough.
You lucked out.
And they turned one of the Friday TV taping into a pay-per-view, or they announced it as a pay-per-view and it wasn't before, or something like that.
Yeah.
But let's
Two
look
Cart
at that.
Patrick and Cody definitely want to go see the Evolution pay-per-view with myself. So I think we're going to take a road trip and do that together at Mohegan. Once it's officially announced, I'll see if it's not $3,000 a ticket, then I was waiting for your rant, my friend, so
it's not a rant. I have a piece coming about Evolution 2, or the potential of Evolution 2.
I've been impatiently waiting.
I'm not roping you into that one because I don't want to get you in trouble.
I've been sitting on your channel hitting refresh, waiting.
I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But all I will say is, when that video does come out, nobody's gonna like what I have to say, but please at least listen to what I have to say, because it's not as negative as you think it is. Anyways. Where was I? I was going somewhere with that. Oh, so
with Tessa.
No, I was.
You're talking about Under Siege, yes, because
Under Siege on the Friday, and then another TNA taping on the Saturday. That Saturday, there's also a Saturday night's main event, and on the Sunday is NXT Battleground. But Battleground is the same night as Double or Nothing. I'll give you guys 3 guesses as to which show we're covering, and the first 2 don't count.
Exactly.
So
let's see.
This is going to be a massive live stream for us, though, and I'm going to go ahead and slap our dicks out on the table right now, because I'm going to be at Under Siege.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be around to watch Saturday night's main event. We're going to have to talk about Under Siege, Saturday night's main event, and Battleground. After
Battleground, yeah, that Sunday is going to be jam-packed.
After Battleground goes off the air, because that will be more entertaining than whatever they're doing at Double or Nothing.
Absolutely.
And the whole Vegas gimmick that's not even in Vegas anymore.
I don't know really what they're going to build up to, because they're kind of holding everything off until July for the Texas All-In, whatever they're doing, All-In in Texas.
And they're doing a rematch. There we go, I think.
There we go. I don't know what happened.
You're fuzzy, but I can hear you. So we're halfway there.
Yeah, it was
anyways,
some
so the match was great.
Issue.
Tessa Blanchard obviously got the win. Lei Ying Lee made an amazing showing of herself. Everybody wins all the way around, unless you're stuck on bullshit that doesn't matter.
Exactly. So, and you know what? Funny enough, I really like that ending sequence. It stuck out in my mind. She goes ahead, she hits her with the cutter, jumps to the top rope, and then hits her with the Magnum for the win. Like, it was just really, I love that finisher too. It was just a really satisfying win. And as I said before to you privately and on the stream, the crowd chanted along with her pinfall. So she's getting a good reaction. Then we got backstage with Gia Miller. She was talking to the Hardys team and all of them, all the faces, with Jeff Hardy.
It was kind of a muddled promo in the back, because they were trying to get people hyped for 2 different matches.
Yeah, I like Gia Miller. She's funny.
I think she's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. The 6-man tag match. This was okay.
Really?
No, I loved it. I was waiting to go ahead and break your heart.
Come on, I was gonna say, don't make me come.
The Rascals kill it, and with Ace Austin in the mix, this was entertaining as all hell. Oh my god, that DDT sequence with the slide.
Yep,
that was incredible. That alone was worth the price of admission. I want to be able to show that on the stream, but I know they'll claim it to high hell. That Trey Miguel pulled that off so smooth. I bravo, sir. That was incredible. That looked phenomenal. I can't do it enough justice. But they had some great moments, and they were just beating down Lee repeatedly, and he was able to kick out. Excuse me, early on. But then he was kind of allowing the bigger men on his side to finally come into the fray.
They were really showing out in this match.
For so two guys, Tyson and Tyreek really, they really got the chance to start shining like a third of the way in.
For two guys, but for two guys as new as they are, in the ring with four other guys as fluid as these four guys are.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know that they were like, I mean, I don't know what they did before NXT. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth or anything like that, but like,
no, but
they're
they
relatively new to this type of stage, like, and they were good. And it was to their favor that they were the different guys in the match. Like, you got four high flyers. These guys aren't going to be high flying. They were the other end of the scale. And because of that, you didn't have a 1-to-1 comparison, because if you put a couple of these guys in against the Rascals in a high flying type of scenario, they're not going to compare like apples to apples.
But the double choke slam they did on Trey.
Oh my God!
I thought they knocked the wind out of him legit, because he was like, did you catch that? That was I don't know if that's what I'm saying. Like so well. Sometimes I'm like, okay, he's dead. And he's like, oh, no, it didn't hurt at all. And then other times I'm like, oh, God, that didn't even faze him. And those are the worst, he says. So it's like baffling. He's like, the things you think hurt don't.
About Trey Miguel, before I even knew who the Rascals were, and when I wasn't really watching TNA at the time, Trey Miguel was, and we don't even have this title anymore in Destiny. Check it off your Spice Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. But their mid-card title used to be called the Destiny Next Generation Championship. And they actually established it one of the very few times Destiny's actually gone to the States, and they did a show, I want to say not in New York, but somewhere in the New York area, and he won it at that show. And then at the next show, he showed up to actually receive the belt, because they weren't able to get the belt down there. So he was presented with the belt, and then he had his first defense, and then he grabbed the microphone afterwards, and then, like, one match with Trey Miguel and you're sold, right? But I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, other than this guy that's just had this awesome match in front of me. And he cut a promo about somebody in his family had just passed away, and he'd been through some stuff, and he was, not going to be wrestling, and then this opportunity came along, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, in one match and in one promo, like, I'm with you now. Like, he had it.
And you saw it, and it was great.
You saw it at the end of this match. Like, it was such a weird, and the other two were celebrating, because obviously you celebrate, you just won a match. So he looked almost pissed off that he had won.
Yeah.
Because the story was more important than the win.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really good. And in the wrong hands, could have come off really cheesy.
Yeah. And it was really good. So they got a big win here. Obviously, the Rascals and the inevitable Ace Austin. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was really like they pulled off some crazy moves, but never did it look unbelievable or cross into the bullshit territory where you get like these nonsensical, like certain Canadian destroyers, like when Penta delivered the first one on the Netflix show there, the second week, and it was like, oh, Gable sold the shit out of that like it broke his neck. Like, that's how you do a Canadian destroyer. But I hate when you just see people flipping back and forth and no-selling stuff. And so thankfully we didn't really get any of that.
And the thing about that is, like, the Rascals, and they do it in moderation, right? But the Rascals can have matches like that as well. And some of
they've had both, so that's why I was like, let's see what happens, because they were with the big guys, so I was a little more hesitant to see if they were going to do more
when they
performative styles.
When they came to NXT, and I was, for the first time we saw that they were going to go with Fraxiom, I'm like, okay, this is going to be your coffee, cocaine, popcorn, gymnastic match, and that's what it's intended to be, and that's what it is. But this one was so much more story driven. And like, there's the Rascals with one member swapped out, and there's that guy from the Rascals with two other guys that he's swapped out. It just doesn't feel right. They should all be on the same side of the ring, you're saying, from like a wrestling point of view. And I thought, for wrestlers that do go in there and do that, like, like I said, we say gymnastic in almost a negative tone, but like that gymnastic firework type of style, you don't always think of that type of style having like emotion and story behind it, and they killed it tonight. They really, really did.
Yeah.
And for the crossover between them and NXT, it's awesome.
It's been working fantastic. I feel like too. People are like, "Oh, it's going to devalue." No, they've done. Oh, because the Hardy. Oh, guess what? The Hardys won. TNA won. They beat Art. And again, Cora lost tonight. You know what I mean? And I was unhappy with a couple of the decisions. Honestly, I had seen things a little bit different, but.
Yeah.
The next match, I think we might have a little bit of a differing view because I really didn't give a shit about this. The match was, to me, a bit boring. It was all about the story, really.
Well, the Macklin and Kazarian?
Yeah, so we get into Macklin and Frankie Kazarian.
This is a difficult one for me.
I really quickly, first off, I confuse Eric Young with Josh Alexander all the time, some reason in my mind, because the brain surgery maybe, or I'm just... purely art-hearted.
You're like anti-Canada racist. You think we all look alike?
Exactly. I don't know what that's all about.
Trust me, I do not look like Josh Alexander.
I told you. I don't know what it's all about. I try not to, but, hey, buddy, I'm trying.
Okay,
so,
speaking of, before I forget.
Yeah, please.
Speaking of Canadian talent and whatever.
Yes.
Even though he didn't exactly land where I would have wanted him to land.
No, certainly not.
Congratulations on somebody like Speedball Mike Bailey, who's had so many different administrative troubles and whatever, getting to a bigger stage. He made his debut on Dynamite. It was pretty much the only thing that happened on Wednesday.
Well, you know what, though? I felt like the reaction to it was like, eh.
It was. No,
but they should have built him up before just bringing him out there. They always do this with people that people, only a small subsect of fans are on Twitter and are on the Reddit and Tony thinks that's the loudest voice, and he doesn't realize the gigantic difference in tone. So he sends him out there and it's like, who? And that's terrible for them because now they feel deflated and defeated. And I don't know. I want to see everybody succeed. So same thing with Alexander being signed by there allegedly. Like that was kind of a...
Yeah, I've heard both. With Josh Alexander and...
we heard Elijah was signed to AEW and he wrestled in TNA. So anything is possible.
There's a couple names floating around. Like we got the teases, as we said, on SmackDown for Rey Fenix and what I'm assuming is Aleister Black at this point. But also there's the who is it? It's Hikuleo and somebody else.
Yeah.
That are rumored. Josh Alexander is in the wind.
He's
Hammerstone is in the wind. He was on TNA this past week, but it was the last of the Full Sail tapings.
Yeah. So...
Jeff Cobb, who I've only seen in sparse amounts. To the credit of AEW, I've seen Jeff Cobb because he was in AEW for a little bit.
Yeah, you had him.
So not only cool to see the all the free agents that are kind of floating around right there, but with the exception of like a Rey Fenix and an Aleister Black, you got a lot of big boys floating around out there. You got Jeff Cobb, Josh Alexander, who's not gigantic but fights like a big guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Hammerstone is fucking ridiculous.
Massive.
I've seen that dude at Destiny. I'm not even doing the Destiny gimmick right now. Like you see that guy in person and it's like you just like a wall just walked past you.
Because he's
insane.
Just
it's like the first time I saw Moose in person. Moose. We haven't really talked about Roadblock because we weren't able to record on the night. Yeah. Moose and Oba, Jesus Christ.
So good. He was, like I said that night, they were both so athletic beyond their, I don't want to say their nature, but like beyond what their
expectation would be from a general audience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They just excel in every way. And what they did made total perfect sense. Moose didn't look weak here. He just looked, a little bit beaten, and that was okay, and it served him well. I loved this match. That whole night was so good from top to bottom. My only complaint really was that the main event was short, and that's me being selfish, but that's only going to make the rematch that much better when she's healthy.
Oh, yeah. And we're in the dirt sheet age where you're watching that match with a predetermined set of knowledge of why it's happening and whatever. So you've got a built-in forgiveness for it being a bit short, because if somebody's there, they're there to drop their title because they're injured, and also they're wrestling injured. So whatever you can get, I don't want to sound condescending, but like whatever you can give us.
Yeah, exactly.
Hardys and Fraxiom was everything I would want from a Hardys versus Fraxiom match. It was
so good, and again, it was just a simple non-veteran mistake. Like, you guys were trying so hard that you just a little miscommunication, but you're still one of the greatest tag teams of today, and they still and now they're going to go after the tag team titles, the NXT ones. Well.
There's story to,
because they've had a history of them too, both sides.
But the Hardys perfected a style that sets the red carpet out for a team like Fraxiom. And I'm not saying, oh my God, you should bow down and thank the Hardy Boys, but it's like, no, we perfected that style. So
why would you not want to? Absolutely.
But we perfected that style. What makes you think we don't know how to counter it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Where they can take the lessons and they can be more grounded, and you can play that into their character and all that stuff. Javon Evans and Ethan Page killed it. That crossover whip that he does off the top rope onto the flats of the two chairs, that just like Javon Evans doesn't have a spine anymore.
Yeah, because he'd just be completely just paralyzed and destroyed at this point.
With the crossover, and I know like the shows need to do their separate things as well, but with the crossover as it's happening right now, I would love to see Javon mixing it up with some of the X Division guys. Considering we don't have the Cruiserweight division anymore, throw Javon Evans in with Ace Austin and Chris Bay when he comes back, and like Trey and Zach. And even Wesley, who, if he's still in the mix. But yeah, and then you had the ladies in there, and Stephanie Vacour obviously being the double champ and everything. It's awesome. MSG, and like, fuck off, it's the theater or whatever, but it's still NXT and MSG.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they're still there, and it looked amazing.
The way the ceiling was all lit up, and it looked.
That's what I was making note of the other night. Well, you had your power outage. I was like, "This is incredible. This is just
fuck it." Stopped watching the first 45 minutes of that on my phone.
Oh God!
Like,
yeah, no
God
kidding.
Damn it.
That's never enjoyable.
No, I was looking forward to that show too, and I was having an interesting week. I was like, "This is what I've been waiting for." Of course, I don't get to have it. Found out after the fact that it. While it was my internet, it was more so my PlayStation network that was fucking me over.
That was more the issue after the and shit. So that makes sense. But this match was all about, Macklin getting the win because, Eric Young got involved and knocked out Frankie with the brass knucks with the trophy piece there, whatever. And just kind of the circle goes around again. I'm not really excited by any of this, sadly.
No, here's the deal, right?
They feel like the leftovers of Josh Alexander at this point. Like he left the universe, and now everybody's just kind of like stuck orbiting each other.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about it is Kazarian and Steve Macklin are both guys that I enjoy watching, but they have to be. I mean, everybody wants to be in a story that's engaging or whatever, but you have to put Steve Macklin with a really charismatic opponent, and you have to put Kazarian in there with either a really super babyface opponent that he can be a dick to, or another equally charismatic, I'm going to try and out-dick you opponent, because they're great.
Yeah.
Conditionally. Wrestling-wise, they're absolutely legitimate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve Macklin is one of the most believable badasses.
And they had
TV
some good moments. Like, he hit him with the crosshairs pretty early on, and that was cool to see, it's like, all right.
I love the crosshairs as a maneuver, by the way.
Yeah, it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's just, and then he does the crossface chicken wing, and I'm like, all right, they're kind of countering each other, and the KIA, and it's like back and forth, and it's like, all right, cool. But the ending was like a bit of a miss for me. Then we had a bit of a surprise of the night here. 2-on-3 handicap match.
I love this.
I called this. I said believe it or not, this was my one like outlandish prediction. I'm like, I feel like this is going to be the title change we get because it's the one I do not want the one I want the least. This is the one I do not want to see happen. I wanted to see Moose lose his belt. I wanted to see, you know what I mean? Like there was many. I wanted to see who else was it? There was other matches. I wanted to see Cora Jade win the belt. Like there was definitely. I did not want to see a title change here, so I predicted there would be.
Yep.
And I love the way they did it. It was very well done, and
it was really fun.
It was fun. I'll give them that much. So, like, they're just killing each other, and you got the concierge. Like he's trying to cause a distraction at the very end, and then Ash and Heather, they get the double team stomp for the win. But it was like the whole setup and everything, like the thunder bomb that came before on Ash. Like we thought that was gonna finish it, but no, she kicks out, and like there was a lot of drama to it. And Threat going for the double 619 was funny, and missing it. The concierge jumped on her back. Like there was good moments here, and for especially what we usually get of Ash and Heather by Elegance or be Elegance, I thought it was a good match for them.
I thought it was really fun, and everybody's like, "Oh, it was really silly." And yeah, it was the silly match on the card. Here's something. What do you think all 5 people in this match have in common?
What's that?
I'll give you one guess.
What is it? Uh-oh.
I've seen them all wrestle.
I knew you were going to get
not wrestle. I haven't seen Iceman wrestle, but like Iceman used to run Destiny.
Yeah. So you've met them all and you've seen them all in person. That counts. That's on your check that off your bucket list and on bingo board.
Heather Reckless was wrestling for our championship a few weeks before she got signed by TNA.
Yeah, you actually, I remember you telling me that.
Jody Threat was, for the longest time, was a constant at Destiny.
Yeah.
Danny Luna came in not that long ago. I want to say the tail end of last year, when she was still with I'm
not gonna remember, so it's on you.
Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, when they were like
you would have had to rip out my ass hair to torture me to get that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That was not coming to my brain.
Yeah, when they wrestled as a trio as Subculture, they took on
I vaguely remember that, but I was only watching like in passing at this point. I was never
I remember Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster were briefly a tag team in NXT UK.
Yeah.
And I really liked them
briefly.
Yeah, they stuck out to me there. But the 3 of them came into Destiny to take on 3 names you've heard me talk about a lot with Von Vertigo. Who was it? It was Von Vertigo, El Diablo, Gabriel Fuerza, and Alexia Nicole.
Yes.
Who for one night only were a trio known as the Cool Kids of Destiny. And they came out to like Sum 41 or something like that to take on what was at the time.
Gotta come out the fat lip.
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
It's got to be. There is no other.
This was the show that was in the banquet hall, so they were actually. I sent you the picture. They were actually wrestling under a big chandelier.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was the 3 of them taking on Subculture. I don't know where the other 2 members of Subculture are anymore, but
yeah, go figure.
But no, the bigger thing that's funny to me, and Personal Concierge is such an amazing dickhead heel, and it's never not going to be fun. It's never not going to be funny, because I've gotten the chance to shoot the shit with Iceman so many times, and he's like the nicest guy.
And it's so crazy that that's Iceman, like.
Is the Iceman. I seen him come out with the bow tie, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, this is. I put a tweet out right as this match was starting when he had the bow tie and everybody was making the Rockstar Spud references, whatever, and I'm like, this is awesome.
This Iceman, is exactly what it needs to be.
Iceman is awesome. I fucking love wrestling. That's the tweet. But it was so good, and you need people like Iceman in this case, who's just willing to go like look like a dick for the cause, and ultimately got his charges the win as well. Now, if he walks around because he was in the match, if he calls himself 1/3 of the women's knockouts tag team champions, that'll be amazing. The fact that he came out there in the like little tiny booty shorts that said "Kiss my ash."
Yeah, I like how your later tweet we got to bring up during the Santana match, but
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah. That's gonna get me in trouble too, but whatever. It is what it is. But this was just a lot of fun, and nobody's bad in this match.
No.
You had an extra comedy character in there. It would be like Cody versus John Cena, but because John Cena's a bad guy now, R-Truth is in Cody's corner, or something like that. Iceman's great. He's great as a character. He's great as a speaker, like in the dickhead role that he has. Ash by Elegance, we know I always said, even in WWE, Dana Brooke always went way underappreciated. Not a super firecracker main eventer, but deserved way more than she got. Heather Reckless is awesome. She's sort of slotted into this like sidekick role amazingly. Jody Threat, I wouldn't want to fuck with, and Danny Luna is a lot of fun. So nobody wins, nobody loses here, but the Elegance brand are the Knockouts Tag Team Champions now. Lots of fun. And the surprise we got at the end of this match.
Is he going to bring up your your tweet there? I was trying to show it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying
to
look at the little bit of your screen there.
I know I was trying to enlarge it, but that's all right. So
but the again, more
like you
crossover.
said, George Iceman is the fucking best wrestling rules. That's a tweet, so I had to retweet that one as well. You can follow both of us at Spaz Phoenix on Twitter, at Countdown Ended on Twitter as well.
Or you can follow us on X, seeing as Twitter doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you, sir. I'm forever going to call it Twitter. But speaking of coming in,
you might want to call it Twitter, but I must correct you.
Oh God, you went there.
Let's talk about the surprise, though.
Speaking of going there, Metaphor.
Yes.
Yeah, going with it. Let's go ahead. Yeah, well, two in the Metaphor. Lash legend Jakara Jackson making their presence known. They came out and stared down the brand new champs, and they're going to go and challenge for those titles soon. So I'm excited to see that.
I think that's the
like
only
these two.
Title that hasn't been in the mix.
Yeah,
because
the women's tag team.
TNA people have fought for the NXT women's title, the NXT men's title, the NXT tag titles, the NXT Heritage Cup title. Oh wait, no, I don't think anybody's fought for the NXT North American Championship. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass a little bit there, but that it's one area is the women's tag team, because the NXT side doesn't have a women's tag team title anymore. But there hasn't been a lot of female tag team crossover. And the Metaphor, or at least the women from Metaphor, are ridiculously over.
Yeah.
And their music is kind of fun. Like it's super simple. Like the Metaphor intro music is super simple, but it's instantly identifiable. Like we talked, especially around Rumble time, about how not a lot of music is really distinct. The Metaphor music is pretty cool. That being said, Oro Mensah on WWE Evolve this week in the main event.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. I'm liking it. We got Big Body Javi taking on Crucifino next week on Evolve. I'm still keeping an eye on it.
I think it's gonna be fun.
Stuff. That dude, It's Gal, was wrestling, and he's a dick. That's fun. He took on the guy that we talked about in the debut, Keanu Carver.
Yes.
Yeah.
And seems interesting. So I started a poll in the chat. Because the next match I also want to bring up. But I said, which match was better, the cage match main event or the Santana versus Ali match?
Ooh, that's not even a comparison.
I know, but I want to see what people say and see what the chat is more into. Apples to oranges there, but the reason I ask is because the Ali match was probably my favorite of the night.
Yeah.
I'm super high on him, always have been. And I'm super high to begin with, so being high on him is not hard. That 450 he missed.
He ate it with his face.
Yes.
With his whole damn face.
I thought he broke his nose the way he was coming down. That was impressively bad. And then he doesn't hit the 450, but they got the tornado DDT out of it. Like, holy shit, right? I want to be able to show that clip in the worst way. It's killing me not to. Maybe if you cannot play the audio, we'll see if we can work around it here. But I definitely want this to be seen. So we'll see if we can bring it up for 1 second. Yeah, just look. Oh my God, right there, rolls over, and then tornado DDT. Beautiful.
I like where there was a point in there where Santana was rolling into the ring and Ali was rolling into the ring from the other side, and they met in the middle for like a perfect cutter.
Yes.
And then they shot it from another angle, which was really unfortunate because the other angle made it look
as great.
Well, it did look good. It just looked more choreographed.
And yeah, it's like, it didn't. Because one way they were less lined up. The other way it looked like, okay, they're stepping into it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're in the post-kayfabe era. We know what it is. But, like, when you get a really nice shot and then you get the sort of the not-so-great shot second, it kind of deflates it just a little bit.
You know what to expect, that's for sure.
But you know what? It doesn't even matter, man. You know what it is? Like, Ali, I'm ridiculously happy for all the success that Ali has had post WWE.
Oh yeah, me as well. I'm so thankful that he found success because he was one that I felt they failed because he was willing. He was one that was like exceptionally 100%. Willing to do anything. And the one time he got a little bit of momentum, he got hurt, and then the Kofi Mania took off, and he never could recover. And then he was told he was winning Money in the Bank. He's climbing up, and then he hears Lesnar's music. God, yeah. Imagine not being told you're losing, climbing up, and then the ref kind of yelling something, and then you hear Lesnar's music, and you just know.
So many people I know have been like, if I was in Ali's place, I would have called an audible and grabbed it anyway.
So many people said, but he would have been fired, or I mean, maybe not, but Vince would have.
You know the crazy thing is before they did all the Retribution stuff and the SmackDown hacker stuff, when they were really pushing him as a babyface for a little bit, he was talking about his past as a cop and whatever.
Police officer in Chicago,
and the amount of fans that came out was like, how am I supposed to believe this guy's a good guy if he's a cop? And I'm like, fuck off.
No, but
just fuck off.
There was enough people that got behind him that it took off, and the light thing became a bit of a scene thing for a while. People were going with it.
It was a little bit of the Iron Man thing, but it worked.
Yeah, but it worked at that time. And Iron Man was hot.
Like totally But see, here's the thing. For all the happiness that I have for Ali, because not only did he came in for a mini run in TNA the first time around. He picked up the Cruiserweight Championship from, I think, Chris Sabin, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
And he had a decent, like a 6-month run with the X Division Championship, including bringing the X Division Championship to Destiny.
Yeah, that was cool.
And defending it against Gabriel Fuerza, which is a match I know I sent you.
Yeah, and I forget what I was going to say before with Ali, but it's just he was so damn impressive always.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's not the story tonight, though, man.
No, he certainly wasn't. And
fucking Santana is so good.
Santana is excellent. He makes
He's
it
so fucking
beyond
good.
Amazing. And I mean, I'm glad that he didn't win here because it's going to continue to tell the story. But I am so excited. And that's what I was going to say. The reason why he was the Iron Man gimmick was because Vince wanted all of the cruiserweights, like Mighty Mouse, to be superheroes. Do you remember when he started making them all wear like they were all looked like Power Rangers at one point?
When Neville came out with the cape?
They all had like Power, even the guy that was the British one with the umbrella eventually came out looking like a Power Ranger briefly.
Gentleman Jack Gallagher.
Yes. Like they
but don't worry,
don't worry.
He didn't have to put up with that for too long because he got Me Too'd into oblivion.
He got Me Too'd into oblivion. But yeah, that match was great. I really enjoyed the Macklin match. No, Mustafa Ali match. Jesus, I'm looking at the wrong thing, but I'm thinking of
it. Okay, here's what I thought you were going to pull up when you said you were going to pull up one of my tweets, because I said it in the live chat at the time, and I said it on Twitter as well.
Yes.
And yes, I'm biased because I don't like the guy. Mike Santana is what Eddie Kingston thinks he is.
Yes, I retweeted it. I was waiting to bring that up. So I have it right here for you, but you are absolutely right, and it's just
and he doesn't even have to walk to the ring dramatically with a gas can that we know he's not going to use.
Yeah, this was the tweet, and I give you that one.
Hey, there we go. He's plugging all the tweets. Yay.
That's right, but
I
can't disagree because
I know they're both baby faces, but he's got to be the champion eventually, right?
Oh, absolutely. But see, Eddie Kingston gets a lot of He's great. Don't get me wrong. I really like the guy. He's good
Is
in the
he?
ring. I really do think he could be great, but he gets pigeonholed into one certain like aspect of a character.
What we said before though, about the hardcore matches and why, you know, the other companies have fun hardcore matches and AEW is sort of like staring into the camera saying, fuck you, why don't you take me seriously enough, right?
Yeah.
It's Eddie Kingston and Hangman, and there's somebody else that I'm not thinking about right now. And I feel like their entire character is just grabbing a microphone and screaming into the camera, "Take me seriously."
Yeah, there was definitely a good amount of that, no doubt. But it goes. I see where you're getting at.
Third best Eddie, second best Kingston.
But here's the thing: Eddie got a lot of. I don't want to say like. He got a lot of like a grace period from people. Like he was allowed to have some shitty scenarios and things not go so well because they're like, oh, I look at what the promos he's cut in the past. I know he could be great again. Like, but I feel like he's been riding on that he could be great momentum for a very long time. Yeah. And then it's also been the stories he's been put into. One time, you know, Tony wants to make him look like a psychopath with the garbage, you know, freaking gas can carrying that shit down. In that garbage match, and then they have him go to Ring of Honor to break his legs. Like, you know, it doesn't. But you said, is he great? And I can give you one name, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Think about the match Punk got out of him, because when Punk structures things, that's what Eddie needs. He needs structures. Punk slowed it down. And they planned things out, and they had some very athletic and big spots in that match. They even pulled off the, you know, that freaking top rope fucking thing that he does. I always forget the name of, but
Pepsi Plunge.
Yeah, they did all sorts of crazy shit, and these two silly bastards beat the ever loving shit out of each other. But the story they told on the way there was great. It was about Eddie always held himself back, and Punk is too much of an asshole. Like it was very believable, it was gritty, and it was in its own little bubble because Punk's island was great, and then there was AEW.
But here's the thing, like think about the great things that Punk did for AEW that they will never in a million years give him credit for. Yeah. There was the Kingston thing, there was him walking in the front door and picking Darby Allin as his first opponent. You can't measure that. And then, I'm sorry, the greatest thing that AEW has ever produced is the dog collar match with him and MJF.
Absolutely.
Difference is, now MJF has been through some creative other things that had nothing to do with Punk, but Punk left MJF's sphere and MJF continued to be MJF.
Yes.
Punk pulled Kingston to a great match and then left, and then Eddie Kingston was Eddie Kingston again.
Yeah. And that was the thing. But see, Eddie was also stuck with Moxley, and I think that's really the nail in his coffin. He got so stuck with Moxley, and then they had their little feud.
Do you remember for the longest time before Mox was champion again?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, if these two stick together and they pull off this double act like they're doing, and they're the ones to go and beat the shit out of the Bucks, I'm all on board.
Yeah.
But then we gotta tell this guy to fuck off, give Moxley the title back, and how wrong I was about that, because now it's in a suitcase that we haven't seen in 6 months. Anyways, moving swiftly on. Santana needs to be a champion soon. I would love to say Santana be one of those crossover guys, but I don't want to be too judgmental here because I am a WWE guy. I don't think the WWE would know what to do with Santana.
I don't know if they would either.
They
didn't. They didn't. Not in this form, because they tried to do a little bit of a solo thing, and it just didn't work.
In WWE?
No, I'm saying in AEW, so it didn't work.
No. I'm saying I would love to see him in WWE now.
Oh, now I thought I got what you meant. All right,
I'm saying I would love to see him in WWE now, but this is one.
Got you. I thought you meant like if it went back, if he was in WWE when he was in AEW, would you have? I got you. Yes. I heard.
No. I'm saying like this is one of the few occasions where I would say like I would love to see it. Like basically what I'm saying about
he's definitely a character I would love to see over there, and I think he's going to get brought over on NXT sooner than later, especially if he's the champion.
I said it about Deonna Purrazzo, and it's the same thing I'm going to say about Speedball as well. Is even though AEW is not in a good spot right now, they are a bigger stage.
They did Speedball dirty the other day.
They did. Absolutely they did, right? But it has at least the potential to be a slightly larger stage. When Deonna Purrazzo first went over to AEW, I was like, well, that sucks, because I would love to see her in WWE if she's going to leave TNA. Yeah. But she's on a bigger stage. Different people are going to see her. As a person that I'm a fan of, I'm happy for her. That's the same way I'm looking at the Speedball thing, right? The what I'm saying about Santana is because he's a little grittier than WWE likes to be. So I don't know that they would present him correctly. So I would say don't go to WWE.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, because like you said, I don't think they would know how to handle him. And that's what the comparison I was trying to make is he already had one company that's not able to know how to handle him. He went to AEW and they weren't able to book him. Yeah. I just wasn't replying to you right, but you get my point. He already went through that, and I don't want to see him go through it again. So that's what I was trying to say is I don't want to see a repeat of what he already went through in WWE. You know,
and obviously all the Guerrero inspired stuff because they're in El Paso. Got a huge reaction from the crowd coming in the lowrider.
Yes, I meant to bring that up before, and now we got sidetracked, and good thing you brought that back up, because that was a great entrance. And he's one of the ones, like, it's genuine. Like, it's like, all right, you really mean this. You truly, you do care about the legacy. You're here to go ahead and make that happen.
Yeah. The other thing, too, and this is where I think people that want to criticize this show will criticize it. Oh, it had a bullshit ending because he's down there with all his backup and whatever.
Yeah.
The bullshit and the backup and all the interference happened in, like, I would say the last 20 seconds of the match.
Yeah, it totally worked. It was it literally was the very end because the way they handled it.
I don't know about it working because I could have done without it completely. But the way I'm looking at it is if they were going to give us a BS ending, they gave us a solid match all the way through with no interruptions so that we got the match we wanted before the bullshit ending kicked in.
But what I love about the bullshit ending is that it still is, yes, he's using the dirty pin, but it's still a legitimate win. It's not a clean win, but it's a legitimate win here because he still beat him without like a weapon. He just got slapped, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he got, so he did still get the best of him with a dirty pin. He may have been able to kick out if there wasn't the leverage, maybe, but so it continues the feud, but it doesn't make him, Ali, look any weaker either by cheating, because it's still like, oh, well, I was still able to beat you without incapacitating you. I just beat you with a roll up with a little bit of extra push. Like, you suck, and that'll be going forward. But it was great because you see Santana go over and he takes out both of the great hands. I always forget their damn names. And then Tasha comes up on the other side. She slaps him, and she slapped the piss out of him. And then Ali just gets the roll up, and it was 1, 2, 3, and it was like, what? I was not expecting it to end there.
No,
I figured he would have kicked out, and then there would have been one more interference with Tasha, and that's when the great hands would have done something together to hit him, and then Ali would have gotten the pin. But I thought
of anything that would have been the super, like, the feel good match of the night. But there was so much put into it. Like I said, the lowrider, the Eddie stuff, the crowd interaction. He was involved earlier on in the day where they made the announcement that in El Paso, this is March 14th, is officially TNA Wrestling Day in El Paso.
Yeah.
Where the people,
which is awesome.
Where the people representing TNA in that case were Mike Santana and Tessa Blanchard, everybody's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. I enjoyed that.
I want to give you a little statistic here.
Sure.
Cope and Mox.
Oh, no.
Their match at the pay-per-view, we briefly talked about it at Revolution. You guys can go ahead and check that out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. Hit the like button, hit the bell. This way you'll be notified when we go live, because we have so much content coming up. You also want to check the description box down below to go ahead and click on the other link. That'll take you right to our most recent video on Spaz's YouTube channel, so you can subscribe over there, where I go at least once a week, sometimes more, over to his side of the neck of the woods, and we do the state of wrestling, and we talk about NXT and TNA, WWE, rarely AEW, every now and again if it's important or something major, and some independence, Destiny, everything else mixed in. So make sure you check it out. There's preview, predictions, news, rumors, everything. And a lot of analysis and some great opinions. And he and I don't line up on everything, which is great. So we kind of get that ebb and flow of it.
And the audio replays of all the live stuff we do here can also be found there. Spotify, Rumble.
Yeah, if you don't want to stare at us, you want to go ahead and listen on your way to work or at work or coming home from work. You want to hear our sexy, soothing voices, then go ahead and, like I said, check out all the info and follow in the description down below. But 72 is the number of forearms thrown in the match between Mox and Cope. 72. A man on Reddit counted. Originally they said 70. Somebody else said 72. I believe it's 72 was the final confirmed number, but I'm not going to go back and count. 72 combined thrown forearms from these two. Like the MMA style lately has gotten so interwoven because of Bloodsport and a few other things, and the Ultimate matches, the Undergrounds, things like this. The cage, small cage that we had in NXT, and the shark cage version on the main roster. It's all really lended to the MMA style, but a lot of these things just don't work. If I hit you with one forearm, typically they're gonna be knocked out or you're reeling backwards. You're not forearming each other for miles.
It also depends who's doing it, though. I don't want to go once again to Speedball, but like Speedball, like that is his thing.
That's his thing, and he backs it up, and that's his. Part of his gimmick, his repertoire, his move set, as they hate that.
When it's other people trying to do it because they think they have to because it's 2025 and that's what 2025 means.
Yeah, no, that's not it at all, and that's not how it works. So,
like back in the day, it's a really easy example to pull out of the hat, but back in the day, Steve Blackman worked because it was his thing. You didn't have The Rock coming down with nunchucks because he was facing Steve Blackman that night.
Yeah, exactly. And he worked because he wasn't just MMA. He was karate and judo and a bit of a ninja and an assassin. And Liz, absolutely. And, Liz joined in for some stuff on this channel before. You can go ahead and check her and Cody and everybody that's joined in. They will be tagged to either the title of the video at the very end or in the description box. So we're going to have some major call-in shows coming up, building the road to WrestleMania. By the way, quick little side bitch. For like the past 10 days now, I don't pay attention to the minor stuff because I deal with so much other shit health-wise that when something small happens, it's like, I ignore it till it becomes a problem. But my eye has just been crusting completely every time I wake up, and it's like, I think it's sinus stuff draining through my eye from a previous sinus infection now, because it's not like a pink eye thing or anything like that. It's all draining. So every time I can continually can't see, and I'm constantly blinking, and I'm sure the people watching just love me looking like more of an autist. But, I eventually have to address that with either some eye drops or something, because that whole tear duct is probably clogged. Speaking of being clogged, though, that's how my heart felt. I couldn't get it going because Cora Jade lost. Our next match, Masha, Slamovich, Cora Jade. These two started off like fucking hellions, just going at it right away. And then she starts attacking Masha from behind, and she goes ahead and they just start throwing each other into the corner. And eventually, Slamovich hits Cora with a missile drop kick. I think it was from the second rope. And a thing of beauty. Looked like it knocked the fucking block off the lady, that's for sure. It made those implants go down a size. She went from a D to a C cup just with that hit.
R.I.P.
Jade's jaded. Looked great here. Slamovich really went ahead, and at first she got their foot on the bottom rope, so she couldn't even really kick out of it. That was a good sell. But then we kind of just got the back and forth again, and then the Requiem, and Jade, that was it. She lost.
Let's not overlook the friggin' destroyer on the apron by Cora Jade.
Yes, the Canadian destroyer. And again, I'm especially that it was done on the apron. And then
what's up, Gorilla Strong? Sorry, I had to cut you off really quickly. He's popping in to say hello, but he's got to catch the replay later on. Thanks for popping by.
Absolutely.
Come back and listen
Thank you,
later.
Gorilla Strong.
as I say, the audios will be up on my side as well. So you've got your pick of the litter as far as where you want to check us out. But thanks for stopping by and showing some love, buddy. Appreciate it.
That's another certified Banana Club member. I love when he stops in and says hello. I can't wait for him to check out the audio later, so when he gets to this part, he can know how much I love him.
Bam.
So I'm always thinking of that sexy bastard with the kindest heart. He always was just too kind. Yeah, no, I see. In my brain, I kind of skipped over it because it bothered me, this sequence. I liked the moment of her getting the Canadian Destroyer, but then she really follows it up right away with the Jaded, and then Slamovich kicks out by getting her bottom foot on the rope. And like I said, it was smart. She didn't have enough energy to kick out. I get why they went and did it that way. It keeps her, strong in that regard. Doesn't ruin the Jaded. But still, that really, especially with doing it on the apron, and that into your finisher, that should have been it. I really wanted to see Cora win here, so I'm a little bit sour grapes myself. But
I'm more and more convinced that when there is a title to cross over between the two brands, it is going to be the women's division, only because, even when Raw falls down, even when SmackDown falls down, even when AEW exists at all, the credit for awesome, forward-thinking booking of women's wrestling is NXT and TNA, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So and the first big crossover was the first time Jordynne Grace walked onto an NXT stage and challenged Roxanne Perez. So whichever way it goes, whether it's the Knockouts title, the Knockouts tag title, the women's North American title, the NXT women's title, maybe you loop in the WWE women's tag titles because they technically float on all three shows.
Yeah.
I'm predicting now, somebody hold me to this later on, I'm predicting right now that whatever title is that crosses over for the first time, it's going to be a ladies' title.
I mean, this is the Canadian Destroyer right here. You can see this part. And, right... nuts. Terrible landing, but that should have been it, really. Yeah. That should have been all she wrote. I'm sorry.
I'm going to keep saying it as well, though, and it's something I've noticed.
It was a great sell, but it just undersells the Canadian Destroyer again. If you're going to do it, make it mean something.
Yeah.
No, I hate when they pop out all the time and, the pop rocks kind of deal over and over and over.
That's a little AEW.
Yeah.
But, actually, that was way too harsh. I take that back. It's something, but specifically with Cora Jade, and I can't put my finger on it because she's been back to NXT to participate in some stuff there as well. But she's been in TNA for quite a bit now. She's more there than in NXT. Every time I see her in a TNA ring, she's twice as bold, she's twice as confident, and she's way more outgoing than when she's on NXT. Don't know why. Maybe she's just liking the stuff that she's doing. Maybe she's really wanting to show up and show out because she's representing her company. I don't know what it is, but she is on when we see her in TNA.
Yeah.
And whereas she's kind of a side story-ish with NXT, she's always been either the person that didn't know whether she was a good guy or a bad guy, the person that was breaking up with their tag team partner, sidekick to Roxanne Perez. She came back from injury at the same time that the big three were just coming in, so she wasn't the headline. But if she goes over to TNA, she's the one that's come over from NXT. She is the headline. She's the one going for the main title.
Yeah.
She's so I think she's riding a bit of outside looking in momentum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems that way. Nick heel turn, that was definitely a very expected but welcome moment. We'll get to that shortly. But as you said with the women's, I don't know. I Cora can definitely challenge again by saying I had you beat, you got your foot in the rope, but I had you beat, and that's why the next match will be no DQ or no rope break or submission only or something like that, I imagine. Yeah. And then she might win because I don't know they really have many other people that aren't in the tag team that can go for the title on the women's side right now.
Well, it's going to be Tessa eventually.
Eventually, but do you want to do that right now? I don't feel like that's, especially to take it away from Masha. I would let her cook for a little bit. Yeah, I would hold that off a few more months at least till July or August, whatever that is. Then we had.
Let's. Sorry, I.
No, please.
I've gone on a big like Cora Jade's awesome train. That is to go without saying that Masha Slamovich is a fucking beast that I wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley.
No, absolutely. She's very beastly, and that's why I said they had a really good flow here. I was just upset with the sequence of I'm going to destroy your head and then hit the jaded. You should be out. She should have gotten the pin there. I mean. And like I said, beggars can't be choosers. It was a good match. It was a damn good match. I'm still happy we got to see it, but I don't know. I didn't love it, but it was nothing to complain about. Absolutely not. There really wasn't anything bad by any means, and it's just more of the common wrestling thing of people kicking out, finishers not really being finishers. I mean. I don't often try to carry all those gripes. With this one, it just stuck out a little bit because of how, like, even the commentary team was selling the apron attack. Like oh, my God. Like, it was like the,
Ariana Grace was there.
Yeah.
Which is, I love the role that she's in right now. The little, like,
she's doing great.
Liaison thing that she does. And all
NXT.
Obviously, all the stuff with her and her dad is funny and all that. For me,
her on NXT, when they did the show where her dad was there, and they had the back and forth. That was funny as all hell. Loved it.
It's all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I guess I'm looking at this a little bit more charitably because I didn't think Cora Jade was going to win.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought go into it. We've talked constantly about like what title's going to cross over. It could be this one, right? But like the win here was Masha Slamovich is on a roll. She's facing somebody who's great in her own right, but a mid-carder, and she's the main champion right now. Yeah. Cora Jade's biggest victory. I don't want to make an Undertaker comparison, right? But like when the Undertaker had the streak, you went in there and your win was that you got to go and have a really good match with the Undertaker because everybody knew the Undertaker was going to win.
Yeah.
So my want for this match is champion stays strong. Challenger goes in there and gives an awesome showing because I like Cora Jade. I got both of those things. Maybe a couple dicey things here and there with, like you say, the not selling quite as much as maybe we would like or whatever, but nothing that threw it off the tracks.
No, never, because they went through a bit more. Like I said, because they did the jackknife pin at 1.2. Like it wasn't just like the immediate next sequence that she went for the pile driver. What is it, the Requiem? I think I said it before.
I think it's the Requiem, yeah.
But it was a short match. It wasn't even like 10 minutes if I'm timing it right. And it was like, like I just expected a little bit more here. The women's champ and Cora Jade, like, you two can fucking go. I know it. I was hoping for at least 15, maybe even 20 out of these two. And I think they had the story in the match that could have benefited from having it as kind of play out a bit longer.
I think they're going to suffer from comparison as well, because I think the First Ladies match earlier on in the night, bell to bell, was a better match. A little bit more interesting because with Tessa, you've got the whole story of like how bad is the crowd going to be?
Yeah, how are they going to interact with her? Absolutely.
Lei Ying Li is still trying to establish herself on this roster. She's not an outsider, so she's got a little bit more of a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Tessa's fantastic from an in-ring point of view, whereas you've got a new champion that's trying to prove herself and an outsider that's trying to prove herself in this match. And you've also, like I say, in Cora Jade, I'm saying this respectfully, but you've got somebody who's very much a mid-card character right now trying to fight against that label. So slightly different matches with different purposes. But if you want to do the curse of comparison between the two matches, I think I give the edge to the first match of the night, even though both the ladies in this title match are ladies that I'm really a fan of.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm a fan of both too, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. For are they going to continue the story? What do we get going forward? As where sometimes when you have a match like this that's a little underwhelming, it's like what are you going to do? Actually, 67% said Santana versus Ali was better than the cage match for this poll.
Oh, yeah.
So poll's got, a little bit longer to go. But
Santana Ali was match of the night. Like,
absolutely.
To me, it's not even close.
Having a Hardy, having Joe Hendry, having, what I mean? People usually gravitate to that. But I'm going to talk about a little bit the problem with that match afterwards. So,
Talk about the ladder match first.
Yes, obviously. So this was good fun. The crowd immediately chanting, "We want tables." No shit. It's a ladder match, but let's get tables because you're the Hardys. This felt like, hopping in a time machine back to the early 2000s all over again. That was the kind of Jeff Hardy I felt like we got here in moments. Because, he goes outside and he goes for the twist of fate, and then Moose just, pushes him right into the steel steps, and it looked like it broke him in half. Then Moose sets up a big chair and drops Jeff on the apron. They kept, they got the ladder up and beat the hell out of each other. They did the where he what do you call it? It's like the last ride, but he came down and just slammed him with the chair, and I was like, oh god. Yeah. So he hits him with the chair, then hits him with the last ride. I always want to say massive power moment. I couldn't figure the name of it, but what was your takeaways from this match, really?
You know what? And maybe I'm looking for stuff that's not there because I'm a mark for the Hardy Boys. I'm a mark for Jeff Hardy specifically. I'm going to like pretty much whatever Jeff Hardy does unless he goes in there and drops his pants and takes a shit in the ring.
Yeah.
But I got to give credit to Moose in this match because they outlined it in the X Factors before the match started.
Because he maimed a cameraman?
Well, he got booed heavily for it. But when they did the X Factors before the things, just like the bullet points before the match, they pointed out that it was Jeff Hardy's 49th ladder match and Moose's first.
Right.
And he didn't go into this match.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
He didn't go into this match pretending that he knew what he was doing. He went into this match playing a guy that's never been in a ladder match.
Exactly.
And all of his setups were awkward. His movements, his what do I do next? What do I do
mannerisms, next? Yeah. He didn't know how to do certain things. That's why it was funny. Guy. He knocked the camera off because he was trying to set up the ladder, and he knocked the camera off the guy's shoulder. I don't know if that was planned or if that was an accident. I don't think it was either, but it was because so well done.
If you look in the corner, you see Alicia Edwards, checking on him, helping him up, and whatever. And she's a heel manager. If that was part of the storyline, she wouldn't have given a shit.
She's still. I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't think it was fake, but it was so well done that it was like.
Yeah.
It had that air
but
of
stuff fell apart and stuff wasn't fluid and clean like it was in the the original TLC matches. Look at the brains that were putting those matches together though, like the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, all that kind of thing. But everything kind of fell apart the first time he tried to set up the ladder bridge.
Yeah,
he did it on a rung that broke immediately, and then when he readjusted it and Jeff tried to do the twist of fate off the edge, it's like, oh well, it was set up by a guy that doesn't know how to be a ladder architect, so of course it didn't work.
And they kind of just crumbled to shit.
So I like the fact that whether it was a choice or whether it just happened, they weren't skirting away from the fact that this is not something Moose is used to. He might have a lacking in experience, and when you've got a guy that's going in as the champion to be out there so openly new and so openly awkward because of the newness of the situation, it made it more real. It made a lot of the spots really ugly.
Yeah. But it added to the realism. Yes, I agree. That's what I said. I wonder if that was planned or if that was unintentional, just because they had a few moments like that with the rung of the ladder breaking, with the kendo stick moment, that was funny. There was a few things. It was just
there was one point in the match where I thought Jeff took himself out, was when he swantoned onto Moose on the table on the outside, and he didn't catch the table completely, and he brought his whole head and shoulders back, not only on the floor, but on the remnants of one of the chairs that he had tried to fold back into place. And I was just like, oh, you cracked your skull.
So then another time the belt was spinning and Hardy almost had it too. Yeah. And then what got him down off of that? Was it her hitting him with the kendo stick, or was it?
There was two times where he
hit her with the twist of fate, and then he hit spear through the table with Moose next.
I don't like. Here's the thing with the Hardy Boys, and it's because I'm a Hardy mark and I've been watching the Hardys since they debuted in WWE in their plaid spandex. This thing that both of them do now, Jeff and Matt, where they do two twist of fates in a row, and the first one is like more of a stunner, and then the second one is more of a twist of like the twist
like
of fate.
Cutter, yeah,
the twist
cutter.
Of fate. The twist of fate, when you do it properly, it looks like a slightly altered version of an RKO. You're both falling flat down. Right?
Yeah.
So this thing that they do where it's like one quick stunner to set up
down, yeah.
One quick stunner to set up the proper twist of fate. I don't know where that came from because they did it in WWE in their last run as well.
Yeah.
It's
like, awkward.
Like, don't do a move that you know isn't going to do the job to set up for the move that's going to do the job. Just do the move that's going to do the job.
Exactly. You don't need to set up for it.
Similar to what you were saying in the ladies' match. Like, don't do a thing that's not going to do the job or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. And there was no need for it. And that was really the problem. And you can't overstate that here. So, again, you know, Hardy's speared through a table by Moose. I think I said it backwards before. But
I hate Moose's spear.
Because he does the flip. And sometimes it looks good. It looked good on Oba the other day.
I see. It's the only thing. That match was awesome. It's the only thing I didn't like because I don't, and that it's not specific. Because
it's like match. Weird because you're not really hitting him. You're like jumping next to him and flipping. You're not really spearing them. That's the problem with the move.
It's
very weird visually.
I said it on a pod, or I might have said it on a stream with you as well. It looks like he goes.
Could have said it in bed too when we were together. I mean, either way.
Don't touch that. Stop touching it. It's still greasy. Anyways, but no. If I was trying to explain Moose's spear to somebody, it was like it would be like he runs towards them like he's going to give them a spear, stops, and tries to do a Kevin Owens cannonball at the last minute.
Yes, exactly. Like he just
I don't
belly up over. Usually I don't care for it, and I said that, but it was interesting on Roadblock. I did like it because it just looked effective the way Oba fell back. It looked like he hit him with a cannonball.
It makes a little bit more sense when he's facing somebody as big as Oba. I'll give you that much because you figure you're hitting somebody as big as you, it's going to change your trajectory a little bit. And if I'm being generous, I could say, oh, maybe he's rolling a little bit because he's changed his trajectory. But when he hits that spear on somebody like an Ace Austin, which was a match that happened not too long ago, somebody the size of Ace Austin shouldn't be changing the trajectory of somebody the size of Moose.
Exactly. You nailed that.
And again, I can say that because I've seen him in person. It's like a gigantic guy.
He is, like I said, I've seen him once. He's so fucking big, and in like the nicest way possible too. Because he was the sweetest guy, and it was so off-putting to be like, "You're so nice," but you're supposed to like. People
are mad at him this week because he went online to talk about a really positive conversation that he had with the Undertaker, and nobody's supposed to like the Undertaker. So anybody that's got a good conversation with the Undertaker is bad now. Apparently, everybody can fuck off. Everybody can.
Hills are good. The
match was fun.
The match was fun, and I just didn't like the couple of times Jeff kind of intentionally looked like an idiot, like holding on to the belt but not able to grab it, or it's spinning and can't reach for it.
Both the times he went for the belt and Moose or Alicia went and grabbed weapons to try and get him down.
Yeah,
you can't avoid it because it's just the way of things. But like Moose,
but then grabbing the weapons, he could already grab the belt. Like you're wasting time.
Well. Not only that, but like when they're hitting him with the weapon to get him off the thing, because of how high he is on the ladder already, it just looks like they're spanking him.
Yeah.
Like she's
Daddy.
She's spanking with
it doesn't hurt all that much. And like that's where you should be inventive. Like, wedge it up his asshole. That'll take him down. You know what I mean? I'm serious. Think about it. That would
That's police brutality.
Anyways. You're not using a baton. Don't get excited.
And the other thing is, too, it's kind of like when I say, well, it's Moose. Why the fuck does he need backup?
Yeah.
Realistically, I mean, I know it's a ladder match, so you're going to use a ladder, but it's fucking Moose. Why do you need a weapon? If you're the size of Moose...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just took me out, because, like, just grab him. You're right there. Just grab him. Pull his pants down.
Not even that. If you're the size of Moose and you see somebody going up the ladder, just tackle the ladder.
That's what I thought he was going to spear the ladder at one point and do the flip into it, and I'm like, all right, that'll be cool, but we didn't get that. So like I said, it wasn't a bad match. It was fun.
Some of those ladders were really shit too.
They were, some of them I thought were like rickety death ladders.
Like the bad setups, like due to Moose and like inexperience and like weaving that into the story. Awesome.
I like how that played into the match.
From that, I like how they Hannafin on commentary was going out of his way to be like, "Oh my God, that's one of the ladders left over from Bound for Glory."
Yeah,
because they couldn't buy more ladders apparently.
Yeah, that's funny.
I like Tom Hannafin and Ray Walt on commentary.
I
think they're a great team.
Face fuck me, Finn, whatever. It's been, I've always enjoyed him. Both of them actually, the Drama King as well. So it's a win-win. They're very good on commentary. They're not my favorite by any means, but
if Rusev goes to TNA, it might be Rusev Day again.
Yeah, I would love to see something. If he ever does come back and he goes to NXT, they'll bring him in just to do it. They would. Because that's what it would be like. Point.
It would be like Taz is a commentator, right? But when he had Team Taz, he was like being the manager kind of and still trying to be a commentator. And there was some comedy to be had with that. I'm just here to do a professional job, but my guy's better.
Yeah.
If you have Matthew Raywalt, because he's so over the top with his dramatic way of speaking.
Yes, he gets. Well, that's why the drama. He gets very enunciating and very into it, but it works because
he had to
he's
change
being
it.
himself. He's genuine.
He had to change it when he first started doing commentary with TNA. I remember when they first introduced him for his first couple of weeks there, and he was still projecting like he was on the mic,
and he was way too analytical too. Like he was really trying to be like.
Oh, see, I don't mind that bit, but you.
Well, I know they told him to tone it down in both ways. You can't yell, and you can't project, and you can't, just
talking
be a
to an audience,
time.
Talking to a listening audience at home is not the same as delivering a promo to the crowd.
Exactly, and it takes a while to learn that. I'm sure I would not get that straight. But last thoughts on the Moose match was basically it's unfortunate that they even had this match because he really should have been in the main event.
Who, Jeff?
No, both Jeff and Moose. These two should have been in the main event. Like they should not have had this match. They should have not. In my honest to God opinion, it wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't good either. It was kind of underwhelming for what these two. I like the story they told in the inexperience angle.
I'm glad they had the match. I
didn't hate it, but
we talked about this the other day. Because they just happened to throw it up on the YouTube channel this week. They replayed Jeff Hardy's debut in TNA the first time. I think they said
he climbs up on the red cage.
No. His first.
The first one. Yes.
His very first introduction to the TNA audience was, I believe, in 2003. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
2003.
Early on.
He answered an open challenge for the X Division Championship against AJ Styles. That's 23 years ago, man.
And then nothing. Yeah, that's why the 23 could have been.
Oh.
Right. See.
No, he's the 4.
Yeah.
Because a belt has 4 sides or something.
Oh, you got this down to a science. No,
what
honestly,
else? What else has 4 sides?
What?
Cage.
Oh, that's right. And
most unsafe looking cage I've ever seen in my life.
So I made a joke. I'm like, they borrowed that from the WWF. Like, because it's 20 something years ago. That's how old that thing looked. My God, that was a.
All right, Liz, you were there for the return at WrestleMania 33. I now hate you, except I don't.
She got to see it in person. She got the luck of the draw on that one. What a return. So these guys in the main event, here's the thing. Both sides felt a little lacking in star power for whatever reason to me. We should say that before we even get to that, they have their little back and forth with First Class on the front, and then it was okay. They had Laredo Kid and Octagon Jr. They come out, and they're yelling in Spanish, and AJ's like, speak English or go back to where you came from. I was like, oh, that's going to go over well. And he calls them a bunch of cheaters and something else in Spanish, and he's like, that means assholes, culeros. And he's like, we got, they beat the shit out of each other. The referees came out. I know they needed to put the cage together, so they had to have something.
Yeah.
But maybe they could have cut to the back and done something different.
With SmackDown being in Barcelona this week, a lot of people were delivering promos, obviously in other languages, getting pops from the crowd and whatever.
Yeah, which is good.
There was a conversation in the back that eventually led to a match between Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura. Really good match, actually.
That's interesting.
Neither one of them was speaking English, and Nick Aldis basically walks through the two of them and is like, I don't know what you're saying, and I don't know what you're saying, but if you want a match, get out there.
See, he just keeps winning in my book. Like, he's the one that said maximize your minutes. He's done so well. Like, last week, my favorite thing on all of SmackDown was that by the numbers breakdown on the whiteboard of the tag teams. And he's like, really, it's quite
conspiracy
simple.
Board?
Yeah. And he just throws it.
Him and Adam
I wonder
Pearce,
where he got that idea from. You know?
Him and Adam Pearce, every time he has to deal with Chelsea Green and all the promos end with, I need a drink.
Absolutely. It's just, I need a drink. And Chelsea's great. I can't wait to see her in Seoul this upcoming Tuesday.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be great. Speaking of fun, the cage match was fun, but like I said, it was lacking. It felt like kind of a blase.
I think this was a flaw in idea.
Yeah, so it didn't really work not being a War Games match. And it was like a mini War Games in one cage with all these guys, felt very crowded, and there wasn't a ton of room to do a bunch of stuff. So Elijah took up a ton of time early on. He came out for riding a horse, which was cool, you know, discount Temu Hangman at this point, because Hangman's done it how many times? He should have came out on a donkey, especially being in Texas.
Yeah, I think Hangman is discount Temu Hangman at this point.
He's no doubt. But I would have liked to have seen him come out on a donkey. That would have been funnier. Then he does the walk with Seven Nation Army. You
notice as he got closer to the ring, his headset mic kept on cutting out.
Yeah. So,
which is that. I mean, nobody can help that. That's
just it's just live TV. That's what happens. But that thing never worked right for him. But it's so funny how like he was surgically removed from WWE and just implanted into TNA. There is no difference but the name. Like he is like when the guys used to leave WWF and then they'd have to go to WCW or vice versa, and they had to change. Like, oh, you can't be. Oh no, I'm the Shark. You know what I mean? That's like, oh God, sorry, God. John Tenta, you got to be the Shark now. Even though, Earthquake and all that, come on.
Hey, they're going in the Hall of Fame now. It's good.
Hey.
So it's all good. It all works out well in the end.
Yeah, yay. Natural disasters.
But he's over.
But they always made them change their gimmick. So now Elijah's just like, oh, I am Elijah. Like every now and again, you're like, you were going to say Elias, you fuck. I am Elijah. I swear, listen, he gets caught up on it. You're never gonna not hear it going forward. He's saying Elijah at the same time. It's hilarious. But we had Team Hardy being Joe Hendry. The Hardys was only one of the TNA World Tag Team Champions. Matt Hardy, Elijah, as we mentioned, Leon Slater, and Nick Namath, the Wanted Man, taking on the System. And it was a lot of System tonight as well, which it usually is. So I really don't care for them like you don't, and you really hate them like I loathe them, but you despise them.
I have to double down on this every time. The people in the group, each one of them individually, I don't dislike.
Yeah,
like
I like grouping. It's the pairing.
I like Dirty Dango. I like Bruce on his day. I mean, Hawkins isn't really my thing.
I never really cared for him, but I don't dislike him.
I don't dislike him either.
Yeah.
But like he's not the other 3 or 4 I would love to see in a match.
Hawkins never got to show a lot of character either. That was kind of the problem. So I liked his figure collecting stuff he did for a little bit like that. I saw that. That was like, oh good, you got some personality coming out. Like cool.
Yeah. But it's just the group doesn't make sense, and I will keep saying it. How the fuck is of anybody in TNA, how does Moose need backup? But like here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Knows? Ooh, the Light of God came on.
It's the Colognes and everybody from the System but the leader. It's a job squad if I've ever. Do you remember when Survivor Series, when you had the one cool Survivor Series? Are you having a problem there?
No, I'm just shifting the light around that came unplugged and kind of fell down. So I'm
bang on my side.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, the light fell into the microphone arm. So
good.
We're now just like Mickey fitting it here. So the light of God.
Do you remember when there was a Survivor Series team, and it was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, a very young CM Punk, and the Hardy Boys. I'm like, there's your all-star team, and
Yes.
nobody remembers who was on the other team.
Was that like 06 or 07, somewhere
Something
around
like that?
there? I think
But it was just like the story wasn't the match. The story was like, look at this cool team we put together.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
That's what this was. That's what this was here as well, though, because like
it worked in that regard, but not having the system's leader, that just the backup, really hurt their team, in my opinion.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, nobody's going to remember the other team. They're going to remember that your current TNA champion, your most recent former TNA champion, one of your tag champions, one of the young talents on the roster that you're really giving a push to right now, and the latest big name you just signed were all on one team, and nobody's going to remember because it's the Colognes and the fucking system.
Yeah, and the Colognes, I'm sorry, they're not over. I know TNA likes to pretend they're over, but they're not over. It's not happening.
They
need to stop trying to make it a thing, because it's not working.
Stop trying to make the Colognes happen.
Stop trying to make the Colognes a thing. It's
but
not
you know what it is, like, you in a tag division, you do need a couple of teams there that are just there to make up the numbers, and if they're there to do that, then that's fine. So if you've got an asshole team that's short a couple people, it's like, we can be a couple of extra assholes. Like, they're good for that, I guess. But it's like it's the other members of the system and the Colognes versus an all-star team.
Yeah, no
from like a TNA perspective, right? Like I say, the current champ, the former champ, a tag champ, Elijah they just hired was like the last cool name they just hired, and Leon Slater's been getting a push, and a lot of people seem to like him.
He was a standout in this match. A few of the things he did was really cool.
I can't believe he actually went up and stood on the top of that rickety ass cage.
He did a 450 swanton off the top.
It was off a little bit.
He took out everybody.
Yeah,
but it was as close as clean could be coming off that cage.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like
that rickety piece of shit.
Because of the strength of that cage,
the tactile strength of plastic.
If you've seen the some of the matches he's been in recently, like 6-man tags with the Hardys in the past couple of weeks, that 450 swanton that he does is like not human.
Yeah, it's they tried.
Really not.
It was great, but they tried. They get the they tried award in the chat. You know.
It is what it is. Yeah. But it's
poll ended 68% said they prefer the Santana match over the cage match. 33% there.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I really, really agree. They say that you say this about a lot of high flying guys. They could do with giving him a little bit more personality, other than I really liked the Hardys growing up.
Yeah, no doubt. The Hardys were.
But that can be developed, right? But like right now, like even when you and I watched Evolve, look at Trill London.
Oh yeah,
you watch 2 seconds of that match, you're like, oh, this guy was inspired by the Hardys.
He
likes horror movies, and he comes out with a really cool mask, and I already like him.
And it's like, I know what you're going for.
Right up Spaz's street. There we go. But
it works.
The layout of the match, it was constricted in its assembly. It was constricted in its time constraints.
I will say the only thing they got right was the advantage being on the heels.
Yes.
WWE does this weird thing in War Games where they let one, if not both, of the face teams get it, and you're like, what the fuck? Why? How does that? That's the opposite point of War Games. It's supposed to be the faces fighting from underneath and clawing and scraping, and every now and again, fine, but they did it like pretty damn consistently for a while, where it became kind of a trope of theirs.
But the whole thing about the entrances here being only 1 minute apart, you might as well have just brought everybody out at once, because that's about the length of somebody's entrance.
Yeah, and that part I even noted too. I was like, what is it, 90 seconds? Oh, it's 60? It was very, very short, and I was like, oh, they don't even get a moment to shine by the time they hit the ring.
No.
And they just kept funneling them out. So I was like, I know they want to kind of like hurry along here, but it should have been 90 seconds between each one.
Oh, at least they could have done 2 minutes.
An extra, like, 2 minutes would have been fine, but 90 seconds at the very least. At least
2 minutes would have been fine, because I don't know about you.
They can do a lot in those 2 minutes and showcase each fresh guy.
Well, this is the thing. But what I'm saying is, as well, is there have been, like, AEW is the biggest offender. WWE's gone too far the other way.
Yeah.
There's been the occasional TNA show that I felt went a bit long. This show felt like it cracked by.
Yeah, this one rushed by, and it didn't overstay its welcome at all.
So
it was kind of a little bit on the longer side, but yeah, this match was not that long. I'm trying to. I don't see where I wrote it down. I think it was 18 minutes. I want to say. I'm trying. I know I had it in my phone, but I didn't save the timer, so I'm gonna check on Wikipedia. I think it's 17 minutes and 2 seconds is the official. It looks like.
Okay.
So it was short. It flew by.
Yeah.
War games are usually like 40-minute matches, sometimes pushing 30 at least.
Yeah.
And this had none of that. It was like a very rushed War Games feel. And then they felt like they kind of rushed the ending. The conclusion just kind of happened. Yeah, so it's very crowded. And all of a sudden,
there was many times in the match, and this is the opposite of the Moose thing, right? Like the awkwardness in the Moose ladder match, because I've never been in this kind of match before, let me figure out how all my apparatuses are going to work and whatever. The awkwardness in this match was once the ring was full, you could clearly see them like trying to make sure everybody cleared out to like
out of the way
one
of the
side
spots.
or the other, so that like a spot could be pulled off.
And it made it kind of it was hard to suspend disbelief. It took me out of the theater act. It ruined the illusion, especially.
Well, it's the complaint that people have about the Rumble.
Yeah.
Is once you get a certain amount of people in there, there's 1 or 2 or 3 people telling a really good story at that point in the Rumble, and everybody else is sitting around the outside.
Sleeping.
If you went around, if you watch that match and you're not paying attention to whoever was doing a move at the time, they were all lined up around the walls all the way around the outside to make sure there was room enough to have the spots. And it's
exactly. And they all had to stand there. And then it was like really noticeable as they all kind of congregated. Then Slater climbs up and hits the 450. It looked good. Yep. It was an impressive moment, but it certainly was like 4 people were there to catch him. Oh, wait, I mean 8. Like it was like everybody's there. So we get to the end, and Myers gets hit with the standing ovation from Hendry. And then Hendry brings a chair, places it down so Elijah can use it for his finish with the knee in the corner. And then they put Dango. He gets hit with a chair, and they put the chair around his neck and do the twist of fate with it. And they get the 3 count.
Which would be fine if they hadn't just done it at Roadblock.
That, and on top of it, this was like a very like, oh my God, we're at the ending now. Like he jumped off the cage and it's like, oh God, we got to go home. Like they ran out of time or something. Like it just felt immediately like, oh, now's the finish, quick. And they gave it 15 seconds and it was over. And all the heels powder out and everybody's they're just celebrating with the Hendry side.
I'm just gonna say because of the crossover thing, right?
Yeah.
And WWE needs to do more of this. Let's be clear for a second. They did a lot of highlighting from the Roadblock event because of their participation in it. But they did a lot of highlighting from the Roadblock event this past Tuesday on this show, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Which was, again,
it was needed though, because they're all becoming interwoven so well that the storylines matter and consistency matters. So you need to bring these things up. Moose just defended, or fought for the NXT title.
Yep.
He was supposed to defend his title too, but they changed that. Obviously, I wish they didn't have the ladder match and those men were in the main event. To me. But Ryan comes out and he locks the door while it's just Matt and Nick in the ring. And then all of a sudden, Nick hits the danger zone. Highway to the... Yeah, we're done for.
You know what I love about that? You know what I love about the fact that he calls it the danger zone, right? Because he's Nick Nemeth, right?
Yep.
He's no longer Dolph Ziggler.
Exactly.
But he came up with a name for his move where the initials of the move would still be DZ.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. It's great. That's why I've always, just...
Yeah. Anyways,
he's underappreciated for those type of things.
The point I was going to make,
yes, please,
about them featuring NXT, which is really cool. Like I said, NXT needs to return the favor a little bit than they do.
I think they're going to show some of Sacrifice because of Cora, and then they'll really start to show more.
But if you're going to show that much of what happened at Roadblock this past Tuesday, don't have the ending of your main event match be an ending that you stole from Roadblock on Tuesday with the twist of fate in the thing, because that's how what's his name, Javon Evans beat Ethan Page was the cutter in the chair,
and that was great.
And he didn't
so
and like
good.
they didn't invent that or anything.
No, but the way the chair broke apart and like. He sold it so amazingly, and the pinfall and the emotional win for revenge. As we're here, it was just like, boop.
It's a thing we can do.
Yeah, and it just kind of popped. So then we got, blood from Matt's head. He bladed himself some point, and, they're hitting him with the chair, and he runs him into the cage, and he rakes his face again, and now he's bleeding more, and then he headbutts him, and now Ryan's beating him, and he's taking his head and bouncing it off the side of the cage, and then all of a sudden they go to black while he's just using the cage like a cheese grater.
Yep. And this is the thing people mentioned a lot too, that there wasn't a lot of blood on this show. First of all, it's not an AEW show, so we don't need to do the whole, we need a pop, let's have somebody bleed.
But they also saved it clearly. Same idea.
They saved it for the last.
Same as the Elimination Chamber. Cody's going to bleed. No, Sami and Kevin, sorry, you guys can't have any blood.
Yeah, same as, what was it?
If I was them, I would have bladed backstage and just put like the new cut on it, and then just let like one of them here punch me here, and then I'll get color. Fuck you. I'll make it look like a hard way.
No, but look at even something like Bad Blood, which was kind of in reverse. Yeah. They did the Hell in the Cell match as the first match, and that match was the only one, and then everything else seemed kind of normal. But it made you look back on the first match. They did it at
like
the
how
at
severe
the end.
It was. Yeah.
Even the wacky hardcore match at the beginning where they were doing the staple gun shit, nobody was sitting there having a gusher. Like they had It was more the idea. It was the idea that he got stapled.
But if you look at Tony and Mariah pouring buckets of blood, like they were guinea pigs for
See,
Blood
and
Farm.
I go back to that was such a unique. It's such a unique story with the Tony Storm thing, and I think they pulled it off quite well. If that match happened on, it is what it is. But my point is,
the heel turn still never made sense to me. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, but on the night I'm talking about, that match would have been fine, would have been fantastic if they didn't try to do similar things in like 3 other matches.
And that's the problem.
If it was the one, you wouldn't mind. I guarantee it.
Well, now we have Ospreay and Fletcher beating the shit out of each other, blood everywhere, and we're like, we just saw this with the women. Like, it's like, so that's the problem. It gets.
But that's okay. Didn't you hear he made it up to his wife with a nice dinner and gave her a good seeing to?
Oh, hey.
Ospreay's awesome. That company.
I do like him. No, they don't, and I know he took those comments personally, but. He could have been appreciated elsewhere because I feel like
he could have been grinding.
Yeah, Liz said Cody's eye looked better tonight. I mean, I didn't see SmackDown. You did, but I heard that he was again cutting a great moment, as Liz put it. And he kind of just was like, "Hey, fuck you, John."
It's the best episode of Miz TV you're ever gonna see.
Yep.
And that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what Liz
all I'm
said.
Gonna say. And as I said to you. They've taken the Drew and Damian Priest thing in a certain direction. I'm not going to say anything just in case anybody listening hasn't seen SmackDown yet. Yeah. But they've taken Drew and Priest in a direction where it's gone from that'll be a good match to I'm invested in that match because they've instantly made it make sense.
Yes. That's awesome. That's what we needed.
All they did was like, here's the straight line. Here, just look this way a little. That's all they've done with the story, and it makes perfect sense now.
You have no idea how much that just piqued my interest. Like, I can't wait to go and check out SmackDown after this.
And we're getting Liv and Jade Cargill next week.
Yeah, which is going to be awesome. So how can we hate that?
Hey, Liz agrees with me. I must be doing something right.
Yeah, they have that match more interesting now. Oh, see, so she knows. She agrees, and if Liz agrees, then you're definitely onto something, my friend.
Yeah.
I would give this night
even a blind squirrel finds his nuts twice a day.
No, or an old man in a convalescent home. Either way.
Oh no.
I give it a 7.5. What about you?
I think about the old lady that had her tits talking to each other, where they said if we don't get some support soon, people are going to think we're nuts.
Hey.
I don't know. Because. We said it right at the very beginning. The Friday night pay-per-views, the B shows for TNA, I go into it with a different level of expectation. If this was their Bound for Glory, if this was their Slammiversary, whatever, I'd be sitting at like a 6 or a 7. But I mean, with sort of like the leveled expectations and a lot of fun that I had, Ali and Santana really raises it up.
That was excellent.
The trios match that we talked about with the Rascals and that, and plus them instituting the lucha rules.
The women's tag too.
In that trios, the women's tag was hilarious.
It was
Iceman's awesome, and I'm a bit biased. Cora Jade looked great. Masha Slamovich looked great. The cage match, they took a big swing with some ideas that didn't quite work, but they still took a swing. So I got to give them a little bit of credit for that.
First cage match in 5 years? They said a bunch of times, but they made it work. They absolutely made it work.
Yeah, I think they need to rethink it next time, at least from a timing point of view. Get
less people. They need a lot less people.
Yeah. That format with a little more spacing and say like 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5
or 2 rings.
Fantastic.
Do the war games.
Yeah.
I'm sure WWE will let them at this point.
Oh, fair. Well, why not just invite them to war games and do TNA versus NXT?
Could be so much fun.
I'm going to be very specific here because 7.5 feels too low, and I don't think it's quite an 8. So I am going to give you 7.75 out of 10.
I'm glad we're in the same range, though. We had the same idea, and I totally respect your bullshit 3/4 star addition. So I'll take it. 7 3/4. I can concede to that number, my friend.
Nice.
Please tell them where they can find you and where they can find us this week.
You can find me and us and everybody by searching YouTube at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. Rumble. I would love to see more people on the Rumble side of things, because for a various and sundry amount of reasons, YouTube can kind of go fuck itself. If you follow Steven Crowder, you know what I'm talking about. Go there, look for Spaz Phoenix Podcast, look for Spotify, Spaz Phoenix Podcast, Apple, Spaz Phoenix Podcast. I think I'm still on Amazon at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. Find me on X and Instagram at Spaz Phoenix. And the rest of the time, I'm here live streaming with Jake.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Having a good time and hanging out. We've been living it up for a little bit now and, having a good time.
Indeed.
I love going in and hanging out at your channel, doing the State of Wrestling. We usually have that out typically every Thursday if everything goes well in life and goes
if I have internet.
Yes, exactly. But we usually have a good time over there. Make sure you go and subscribe. We're going to try and do some live stuff over on Rumble as well, so that's going to be fun to look forward to. We'll give you more details and let you know. It might be multi-streamed, but regardless, we'll figure it out in the future. We'll be live coming up, so you're going to want to go ahead and make sure you're following us on Twitter as well, at Spaz Phoenix, at Countdown Ended. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That's right. Hit subscribe.
There we go.
Hit the thumbs up as well. Comment down below. What do you give tonight's TNA Sacrifice out of 10? Let us know. What was your favorite match? And as always, we hope to see you next time. Spaz, thank you so much for hanging out. It's late, my friend. I appreciate you staying this long, but we had a great review. We threw in a lot of extra talk. This will be good on your channel to go ahead and remind people one more time to subscribe to the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel. And make sure you're subscribed down below. Thank you for all being a part of the Banana Army. Stay sexy, and I hope you all have a good night.
We're awesome.